Hey there, I'm Dr. Vlad, a general pediatrician specializing in autism for children. Today I want to discuss the rising rates of autism diagnosis around the world. There are several factors at play here, and I want to start out with a story. In the bustling town of New Horizons, Dr. Eliana Bennett was a pediatrician known for her dedication to her patients. She had a particular interest in developmental disorders and recently attended a conference on autism spectrum disorders, which opened up her eyes to the nuances of diagnosis and care. One autumn morning, a young couple, the Harrisons, walked into her clinic with their son, Jamie. They were concerned about Jamie's lack of eye contact, his intense focus on specific interests, and his difficulties with interacting with his parents and other children. The Harrisons had been to several doctors, but none gave them a clear answer. So Dr. Bennett listened intently, her recent training echoing in her mind. She observed Jamie, noting the signs that aligned with autism. After a thorough evaluation, she gently explained to the Harrisons that Jamie might be on the autism spectrum. The news was met with mixed emotions: concern, relief, but also a fear of the unknown. The Harrisons' journey with Jamie's diagnosis began at a time when autism was becoming a more familiar term. Local schools had started to integrate special education programs, and community centers hosted seminars on understanding and supporting neurodiversity. As awareness grew, so did the number of diagnoses. Dr. Bennett saw more children like Jamie, each one unique but sharing certain traits that had once gone unrecognized. The community's perception shifted. What was once considered rare became understood as something that had always been there, hidden in plain sight. The Harrisons, empowered by knowledge and support, became advocates for autism awareness. They shared their story, contributing to the growing conversation. Jamie thrived with the right resources, and the Harrisons found comfort in a community that was learning to see the world through a broader spectrum. So the story of Dr. Bennett and the Harrisons reflects the availability heuristic at play. As awareness and understanding of autism increased in that community, so did recognition and diagnosis of autism. It wasn't necessarily that autism was on the rise, but rather that veil of unawareness being lifted, revealing the true prevalence of the spectrum in that community. It would be very nice if this was the end of the story, but there's more to it. The availability heuristic is only part of the understanding of the increase in diagnosis of autism. There's more to it. So the criteria for diagnosing autism has expanded over the years. Conditions that were once categorized separately are now included under the autism spectrum, causing the rates to artificially look higher. Before, autism, Asperger's, PDD-NOS were all separate diagnoses. Starting in the year 2013, anyone who carried any of those diagnoses were all considered on the autism spectrum. So the number of all those other conditions went down to zero because there's no more such thing as Asperger's as far as the DSM is concerned. And the number of autism went up because they were just reclassified in a different bucket. That's one reason that the number of diagnoses have gone up. Another condition is looking at factors such as intellectual disability. And the diagnoses of intellectual disability have gone down because once these children are reevaluated, we realize they do not have an intellectual disability per se. They actually have autism. So they get reclassified as being on the autism spectrum as well. And we see that as the rates of autism have gone up over the years, the number of kids who fall into intellectual disability by itself have gone down, even though roughly 1 out of every 3 individuals diagnosed with autism also has intellectual disability. We also have better screening tools and processes in place to detect and find cases of autism. This means that we're able to identify signs of autism earlier in a child's life, leading to a timely intervention that can make a substantial difference. We know that parents who have children after their 30s and 40s increases the risk of autism. For a variety of reasons, these days, parents are having children later in life, and the number of children being born on the autism spectrum are also rising. Another factor to consider is the fact that our technology and our medical care have evolved to the point where we can help premature and very premature babies survive that critical period right after birth, when in the past many of them would have died. They are surviving that period, going into beyond their first birthday and beyond. However, being born prematurely increases your risk of developing autism as well. So the more surviving premature babies we have, the more cases of autism we will be seeing as these premature babies grow up into adults. But even when we account for all of these factors that I had mentioned before, older age of parents starting their families, the higher number of healthy premature babies that we are taking care of, the heuristic availability, as well as increased awareness and screening for autism, and the change in diagnosis of autism, there's still an unknown factor that researchers are aggressively looking for to account for all of the increase in cases. One thing that is for sure is that immunizations are not responsible for any cases of autism. Over the past 24 years, multiple large research studies, which are high quality and very thoroughly conducted around the world from different viewpoints, have all failed to show any connections between immunizations and autism. If anything, immunizations may have a protective effect on preventing cases of autism. For parents in New York State, navigate autism with confidence. Call our office and empower your child's development with proven strategies and compassionate care. If you learned something today, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below and leave a comment to help spread the word. The world is filled with misinformation about why rates of autism have been rising around the world. Now imagine having a medical professional by your side helping you to navigate real facts from myths and fads.